Welcome to Joyce Barrie and Friends, the number one worldwide radio show. The show's outrageous and it's contagious. It will lift your spirits high, you'll feel that you can fly. Transform your attitude, fill it with gratitude. Cut loose and improvise. It's coaching time today. Joyce is a great coach with an extraordinary approach. Fast on the upbeat, top of the heap. A wild motivator, great stimulator. Unstoppable in a humoristic way. Life lessons with passion, joyfully today. You want Joyce as your coach if you want this to be your best year ever.
Coach Joyce here. I want this to be your best year ever. I want this to be my best year ever. I want this to be the best year ever for Beverly Nadler and her fabulous family. And I want this to be the best year ever for all our friends and family worldwide.
Welcome to Joyce Barrie and Friends. We are broadcasting live across America and around the world. This is the Hour to Empower, with stimulating talk, views you can use, memorable quotes, and powerful life lessons. We always have hot guests and cool topics. We even have cool guests and hot topics. You always want to tune us on, tune in, and tune up with us to hear the best of the best. You do not want to miss any of our shows. Each show goes into our archives. Log into Joyce Barrie and Friends.com, Barrie, Barrie, and you will see each guest and each topic on our homepage. You can play and download any of our shows, always informative, inspiring, and motivational. You want to share these special shows with your friends, family, and contacts. You can follow us on Facebook and become a Joyce Barrie subscriber, and even a fan by going to our Joyce Barrie and Friends fan page. Be sure to check like. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us by going to our Blog Talk Radio homepage and clicking follow right below my picture. You can also message me in any of these venues about our show, about our guests, about anything. My official website is joycebarrie.com. Barrie, Barrie. The chat room is open. Log into the chat room, have fun, and chat away. I go back and forth into the chat room during the show to see what is going on in there. Motivation, inspiration, and an education. Positive, happy thoughts to improve your life, health, and finances. Take positive actions to create a gratifying lifestyle. Life lessons from me, your host, Joyce Barrie, straight from the Coach's Corner, and then you will hear from our wonderful guest today. Folks, every day should be treated like a special day. We wish you the finest of friends, the opulence of opportunities, the magic of miracles, and the happiest of days. May this year be your best year ever.
Thursdays is always a good day at Joyce Barrie and Friends because on Thursday our special guest is my best friend, health guru Beverly Nadler. Today she's going to talk about chiropractic healing. She's going to explain the many extraordinary benefits of chiropractic care for preventing disease and maintaining vibrant health. So many conditions besides back pain and headaches respond to chiropractic care, including arthritis, allergies, digestive problems, infectious conditions, even nervous disorders, and much more. After listening to today's show, you just may decide to use the services of a chiropractor to aid in your healing and health. And before I bring in the ever-wise health guru, Beverly Nadler, who certainly has the credentials to know about chiropractic healing, since she in fact married a chiropractor, and her daughter, Dr. Denise Nadler, is a chiropractor, so talk about someone being very close to the chiropractic world, who better than Beverly Nadler. So just to share a few quotes. and then I will bring her on. Medicine is the study of disease and what causes a man to die. Chiropractic is the study of health and what causes a man to live. If you listen to your body when it whispers, you won't have to hear it when it screams. Going to a chiropractor just for back pain is like going to Starbucks for plain black coffee. Chiropractic is not designed to make you instantly feel better. It is designed to make you instantly heal better. Chiropractic, like gravity, works whether you believe it or not. Chiropractic adds life to your years and years to your life. Pain doesn't just show up in our lives for no reason. It is a sign that something in our lives needs to change. So, folks, those quotes sort of set the stage for the importance, the value of going to a chiropractor. It's something I've done for years and years preventatively, and I did that in New York every single week. So it goes back for me in my history a long, long time, and there were times I was in so much pain I could barely walk to get into a cab to go to the chiropractor, but when I left the office, I was walking fine and feeling fine. On that note, I'm bringing on one of my all-time favorite guests and friends, Beverly Nadler.
Wow, that was some intro, and those quotes. Well, you know you're going to have to send them to me. I haven't heard them. They were absolutely wonderful, and I know you purposely didn't tell me that you had quotes because you wanted to surprise me, and you sure did. That was a great, great intro. Couldn't have been better. You're talking about the truth of how this drugless healing profession and chiropractic can really help people. So thank you so much for that.
And you're welcome so much. And I really do love the chiropractic world and totally endorse it and believe in it. So having said that, I am so looking forward to this show. Go ahead.
Well, the purpose of chiropractic, it's a very specific purpose, is to remove nerve interference anywhere that it exists in your body. And when you remove nerve interference, you're actually improving the ability for your body to heal, because you see your brain and nervous system, and actually your nervous system is considered an extension of your brain. They run your body. They keep you alive. Your nervous system is the master system of your body. What that means is that the nervous system actually is controlling your immune system, your circulatory system, your respiratory system, your glandular system, your reproductive system, your structural system, and your muscular system. So not that chiropractic is necessarily the only thing you ever need, but it is involved, or can be, if you understand and go to a chiropractor, a force of healing regardless of where the problem exists.
I know you get emotional when you talk about it because you're someone that is such a firm believer. You're such an activist on behalf of chiropractors everywhere.
Well, it's interesting that your brain and your nervous system are so important that they're protected by hard bones. Your cranium protects your brain, and your spinal column, which is made up of bones called vertebrae, protects your spinal cord and your nervous system. But here's where the problem exists and why things can go awry and why what chiropractors do, which is essentially, as their major thing, is to adjust the vertebra in the spine. And by adjust, we mean replace them where they actually belong, because the nerves exit between the vertebra. So when any of the bones are out of position, they can press on nerves and they cause nerve interference. Pressing on nerves can be compared to a rock that's on your water hose. There's water being pumped from wherever you pump the water, from the faucet, but it can't get through to water your flowers or your grass because there's a rock on it. So when the bone is out of position, it presses on nerves, and those nerves, wherever that problem is, cannot feed the organs and the systems they need to feed because the energy cannot get through. The result then, of course, is pain, malfunction, and or disease. See, nerve interference, when it occurs, some parts of your body do not receive the vital instructions that are carried from your brain by your nerves to all parts of your body. So that's where your problem is that you cannot get those messages through. But it makes it possible, once the interference is removed, for the body to begin doing what only it can do, which is heal itself. And, of course, that frees you of pain and illness. Now, when there's no health problem, chiropractic adjustments help you maintain good health. And especially in this day and age, there are so many reasons why the spine goes out of line. And, of course, we know about athletic injuries. There's also some things that people don't realize is when they're constantly bending forward, for instance, on your computer, whenever you're addicted to your phone, not just your cell phone, but a phone that you're bending your head, in one direction, your neck, and therefore the phone is on your ear. These postures will cause problems. Also, toxic material will actually interfere with normal functioning of the nervous system, any toxins, whether it's from food or chemicals. So and aside from the fact that we want to change lifestyle habits, we also have to recognize that the nervous system is going to be affected by these things. And it's up to us to determine how carefully we take care of our very, very precious thing, what is our body. There were some very interesting articles that Prevention magazine had in their November 2015, February 2016. They had articles, positive articles, of course, or they're in Prevention magazine, so they have to be. One of them was 6 things chiropractors can help you with, and another was 7 things your chiropractor knows about you the minute you walk in the room. I thought that was very interesting, and that's because they're checking your posture. Posture affects the way that your spine affects your spine. And it's interesting that there are different groups that have nothing to do with chiropractic, meditation groups, different healing groups that talk about the importance of the spine and keep your spine aligned, keep it straight, because it does definitely affect what happens to all of those nerves. And, of course, there's a lot now being said, and especially with that new movie, The Concussion. That movie pinpoints the fact that a lot of brain damage takes place from athletic injuries. And when the brain is affected, of course, it's affecting the nervous system. And in addition to that, there's usually other injuries that go along with the concussion. So it's really important for children and adults to wear something covering their head and to be very, very careful as they're playing and whatever they're doing, because these things do affect our health, and they affect it literally could be for a very, very long time. It could be forever. And that's why you need to be careful of that. Now, there are all kinds of specialties that chiropractors have. And I'm regular, when I say regular traditional chiropractic, there are many different types. There's different types of treatments and therapies. If you don't find one chiropractor to your liking, go to another one, just as you would do if you went to a dentist or a medical doctor. You wouldn't say, well, I'm finished. I went to one, that's it, I'm not taking care. Of course not. You're not happy with one, you go to another one. But some of them specialize in sports medicine and athletic injuries. Some of them specialize in migraines. In other words, they've taken additional training in addition to the regular training of chiropractic and relieving nerve interference, many are use nutrition in their practices, and even though this is a drugless healing profession, but they are aware of the fact that people take drugs for various reasons, and they have studied to see what kind of nutrition can perhaps have the same effect along with the chiropractic care, so that people do not have to take drugs, which, as we know, always have dangerous side effects.
You said that was very important. I want to reiterate, if you go to a chiropractor and for whatever reason you didn't like that person, you didn't resonate, go to another one. That Beverly is absolutely correct. As much as I love chiropractors, sometimes I've met one, I said, this one's just not for me. I didn't feel like we were on the same page. So certainly don't take it to mean anything. Just find another one. And the best way, of course, is if you ask around and people that use a chiro give you an endorsement on that chiropractor. But certainly don't give up because you went to one and that one wasn't for you.
Very, very, very true. Thank you for reiterating that. I do want to say that there are things that chiropractors are not meant to take care of, and that would be an acute emergency. Now, when it comes to infections, chiropractic can help to speed the healing, but you may have an infection that requires some immediate attention and requires a drug. So if you take care of that and go to a chiropractor at the same time, your healing will be speeded. The same thing with fractures, broken bones. You're certainly not going to go to a chiropractor for that. However, if you have the healing, the mending of the broken bones, you will find that when there is nerve interference going to the structural system, which is about your bones, the healing will be faster, and there are many, many, many cases of that happening. So I advise chiropractic for anything. I mean, except there are certain injuries where it would be impossible to adjust the spine. But other than that, you want to have some chiropractic care because you want to restore the life force. When I had cancer, I didn't expect that chiropractic was going to heal my cancer, but I had chiropractic care regularly by someone who also knew a lot about nutrition. I dealt with my nutrition. I did breathing, exercises, a lot on my mind. And as those who have heard me talk about my own healing, the cancer for me was literally healed before I actually had my surgery to remove a totally and complete dead tumor, which at the time, and this was 1994, the doctor in charge was astounded. He just stared at me. He couldn't believe that he had removed a very large dead tumor. So with natural care, which included chiropractic, I had literally healed myself, but I wasn't going to be able to remove the dead tumor, and that would have been very toxic, and that itself literally could have killed me. So fortunately, I wasn't meant to leave the planet, and here I am, 22 years later, in probably the best health of my life. So that was a wonderful, when I say looking back, it was a wonderful experience for me. It's interesting that Mark Victor Hansen, the co-author of Chicken Soup books. Okay, so they have one called Chicken Soup for the Chiropractic Soul, 1,001 chiropractic miracles, and that's stories about true stories about chiropractic, and that I'm looking forward to getting that book because I want to read about 1,001 miracles. That's quite. I've seen some amazing miracles because I worked in both my ex-husband's office and my daughter's office. And I've seen some of these incredible miracles. And one that is not a back problem, a man called the office who had had a stroke 5 years earlier, and he asked if I thought that chiropractic could help him. And I said, yes. He said, well, my doctors wouldn't let me go. They absolutely insisted that I would just get worse. He said, well, it's 5 years now. I'm sitting in a wheelchair. I said, how much worse can I get? So he came to the office, and I remember it so well. They had him in this special truck, and then this something comes down so that the wheelchair could be wheeled down, and then, is brought into the office. Well, this man, within a few weeks, was out of his wheelchair. He was using crutches, but he was out of his wheelchair. In a few months, he was totally and completely stroke-free. Now, that's an amazing story after 5 years of being so sick that he finally ended up in a wheelchair. Went from the wheelchair to crutches, cane, and one day he walked over to my oldest daughter, who was a very young child at the time, and he just talked to her, and I was there, and he said, every day I give thanks to God for your father because he healed me. Well, the truth is, we like to say that, it's chiropractic that healed him. The energy came through his hands, Dr. Nadler's hands, my ex-husband, but it was his energy from his brain to his nervous system that allowed this man to heal from his stroke.
I would say that's more than a story. That is a miracle. Indeed, it is an absolute miracle. And while we're on the subject of miracles, we are very blessed to have with us today Dr. Timothy Schaub, who has a few miracles up his own sleeve. Welcome to the show, Dr. Schaub.
Thank you, Joyce.
Hi. I'm so glad that you were able to make
Beverly.
it in the midst of a busy schedule.
And what would you like to share with us, Dr. Schaub? I know, being a long-time chiropractor, you must have many, many miracle stories that you want to let our listeners know about.
I do. The last time I was on your show with you, we talked a little bit about how chiropractic improves the body's ability to breathe easier. And I have a saying, I say you can go for quite a long time without food or quite a long time without water, but you can't go even for a few hours without 110% oxygen or we're done for. So helping people breathe better through chiropractic care is one of the major benefits of the care. And frequently, many people don't realize how poorly they are breathing until they get adjusted. So it's not uncommon for my patients to get off the table after their first adjustment. Not only do they say things to me like, oh, I feel like I'm standing up straighter now, and they feel like that because they are, and they say, and I can get a deep breath. I am breathing easier. They didn't even realize that they weren't. So last year I had an opportunity with a older gentleman who his daughter had asked me if I could help him with COPD. And I explained to her that with chiropractic, we don't necessarily treat conditions. Posture was like. I said, do his shoulders round forward? And she said yes. And I said, does his neck come forward? And she said yes. And I said, is his upper back curved forward? And she said yes. And I said, well, then I suspect that I can help him because he definitely has a spinal problem. So he came in to see me, and at the time, his posture was very poor, and he had a very hard time walking even a few steps because he had COPD for so long at that point. He'd been diagnosed for four and a half years earlier, I believe, and I examined him and found the vertebral subluxations, which are the obstructions or the areas within the spine that the nerve supply was cut down. Part of the problem was in his lower part of his neck. The vertebrae numbers 1, 3, or 3, 4, and 5 because we have a saying or an acronym in chiropractic that C3, 4, and 5 keeps the diaphragm alive. The nerves that come out there are the nerves that run into the diaphragm muscle. And some of our listeners, I'm sure, know that the diaphragm muscle it's shaped like a half of a football, the top half of a football, and it's underneath the rib cage. And if that diaphragm isn't elevating and extending itself the way that it should, then you can't get enough oxygen into the lungs. So we adjusted his lower cervical spine, and I adjusted his upper cervical spine, the first vertebra, which is called the atlas, or C1, and C1 is the nerve supply into the lungs itself. And immediately upon treatment with the chiropractic adjustment, he began to breathe better. And the next week he came back, he was still breathing better, and the next week he came back and he was walking further. He was walking more than a few steps. And he came back the next week and he was breathing better yet. And he came back the next week and he was breathing better. And I continued to adjust him. And as I did this, not only did that happen, but the gray-blue color in his face began to go away, and he began to get a much more blood-flushed presence of pink skin like he should have. So at that point, I was taking a vacation, and I went on vacation for a couple of weeks and didn't see him for a couple of weeks. When I got back, he told me that he'd gone to his pulmonologist, and his pulmonologist looked at him and didn't know what had happened, and he told him that he was seeing a chiropractor for his COPD, which that wasn't really why I was treating him. I was treating him to reduce the vertebral subluxation, but he asked his doctor what he thought about that, and his doctor said something to the effect that, I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but I really know very little about chiropractic. He said, all I know about chiropractic as a pulmonologist is what I've heard. But do you know what you call what you've heard? What you call what you've heard is called hearsay. But I can tell you what I see. And what I see is that these chiropractic adjustments have done more for you in 4.5 weeks than I've done for you in 4.5 years. Now, the interesting part of this story is that this gentleman was scheduled for a lung transplant. They were waiting for a lung to come in. But he said to him, and by the way, if you're doing this well, I don't need to see you nearly as often, and I'm taking you off the list for the lung transplant because you don't need it anymore.
Wow.
So when we talk about miracles in this gentleman's life, the chiropractic care was truly a miracle for him, and he is most appreciative, and he continues to this time now, 4 months later, to continue to get better and better and better every week. And his doctor has now told him he doesn't need to see him for 6 months. He's now lifting weights, walking, carrying animals, doing all sorts of things that he couldn't do before. So my message here is that poor breathing is frequently related to poor posture. And poor breathing creates acidity in the body. It creates physical stiffness, tense shoulders. As the shoulders tense up, the spine curves, and even the lower back and pelvis becomes more rigid. So all of which disturb the natural balances of the body. Therefore, when your breathing is out of balance, the diaphragm, abdomen, pelvis are also out of balance. And with so many of us becoming more and more sedentary in our lifestyles, and texting all the time is one of the major problems. In the medical field, we call this a text net. But if we have time, I don't know if we have time. I don't know when you're taking a break because I just got on the call with you guys. but if you have time, I'll show you some things, or the listening audience can do some exercises with me to experience the breathing. But that's
Dr. Schaub, do you have a website that our people could go to?
Yes, I do. They could go to my Facebook fan page for my practice, which is called Schaub Chiropractic. That's SCHAUB Chiropractic. And the last post that's on there describes some of these issues about respiration and breathing and COPD. And the post that's the last one just below that actually is the gentleman that I'm referring to. His name is Doug, and he's on there in a breathing seminar that I was doing where I was teaching my patients about breathing around the holiday season, and he shared his story with the attendees at the seminar. So that
Dr. Schaub, where is your practice?
I'm in beautiful central New York.
In central New York. I ask you because it's a worldwide show. We never know who's listening. So why don't you give the telephone number of your practice, as they say with the lotto, hey, you never know. So you might as well let people know how to find you.
My telephone number for the practice is 315, area code 315-345-5636. And they could just Google my name, Dr. Tim Schaub, Portland, New York, and they'll get my website.
Okay. I think that was an incredible story, but I want to go back to Beverly, who has so much information, and I promise you we'll come back to you before the show ends. But first, before either one of you speak again, in the words of our health guru, why listening to this show can be very healing as well. So, in the words of Beverly Nadler, how this is a part of your healing each and every day.
Listen to me. I have something to say about a wonderful way to start your day, a way to stimulate your mind and increase your energy, make you feel so good. And guess what? It's free. Weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, hear the Joyce Barrie and Friends show. You'll find it on the internet, on Blog Talk Radio. This show is upbeat and fun and very inspirational. It's informative, educational, and very motivational. There's the Coach's Corner, great quotes and news. There are suggestions, perspectives, and advice you can use to enhance your life and improve your health, plus clever, simple ways to increase your wealth. Joyce's perceptions and personality will keep you captivated, and her guests from many walks of life will always keep you fascinated. When Joyce and her friends speak, it's like you're in the conversation. This is part of what makes her show so unique, really a sensation. For Joyce's friends are not only the guests you're listening to, they're everyone who is tuning in. Yes, I do mean you. So refer your friends and family. They'll be so pleased to know. And let's make Joyce Barrie and Friends the #1 internet radio show.
And, folks, we ask you to partner up with us in having that happen. Simply go to Joyce Barrie, Barrie, and friends.com, and right under my picture on the upper left of the home page, it says follow. And if you click on that, you need not miss any of our shows. We're live at 11 Eastern, and for your convenience, you can go into our archives 24/7 and play and download each and every show. So do become a follower, and you need not miss any show, any topic, any guest. So back to you, Beverly.
Well, first I want to thank you, Tim, for that extraordinary story. And it reminded me that I had said right at the beginning that the nervous system is the master system and included all of the systems, including the respiratory system, of course. And I was thinking as you were talking that very few people without you having presented that, would ever think of chiropractic for COPD. And I think of all those ads on television for the drugs. I don't know what the drugs are, and I don't generally read, but there's always this long story of all of the negative things that could happen to you from taking these drugs, whatever the drugs are. And here is this incredible case of a man who had the foresight to say, you know what, I'm going to try something else. Let's see if this works. And here, a case, and that's a serious disorder. I mean, to think that chiropractic might help and that it did such a wonderful job. And I just want listeners to be aware of the fact the nervous system is the master system of all the systems in your body, whether it's the immune system, the circulatory system, but your heart, of course, your lungs, hormones, everything. In muscular system, of course, we know that. But all of these systems, how asthma would respond and allergies respond. So that was just an extraordinary. I do want to talk about what chiropractic can do for children. And also for pregnancy, women who, even Prevention Magazine, when they had their one of their positive stories, articles, they mentioned for pregnancy pain. Well, it doesn't have to be pregnancy pain, but pregnancy, you would be treating both the mother and the fetus. And I know that when children are adjusted early on, I'm not saying in the womb, most people don't even think of that, but it's a wonderful thing to do. When they're adjusted early on, they tend not to have the usual childhood diseases, and they go through their life, if they continue with chiropractic care into adulthood, being pretty much free of disease. And I can say that for my three daughters. But one of them, in fact, Ariana, the chiropractor, when she was very, maybe 7 years old, she was in school and she was told to go to the nurse, and the nurse looked at her and said, "You must go home, my dear. You have the chicken pox." And she said, "No, I don't." She said, "I can't have the chicken pox. I get adjusted." Fact is, she did have the chicken pox, an extraordinarily mild case. And I said, well, and she said, "How could this happen to me?" And I said, sometimes you might have some situation, but you see what a mild case you have. It's not even itching, but it was really funny because she was such a believer that she became a chiropractor herself, So children respond beautifully, and there's a place called Oklahaven Children's Chiropractic Center that I send donations to twice a year, Christmas and some other time. But they take care of children that are given up. I mean, there's no way. These are incurables. There's nothing we can do with this. Even a chiropractor will say, I can't help your child. There's just much more care that is needed, much intensive care. And this center, this wonderful center in Oklahoma, will take care of these children. I believe it's all by donation, that there's no cost to the parent to bring the child there, and they'll take care of them chiropractically, also educate the parents, lifestyle changes, nutrition, whatever is needed. But when I talk about incurable, there are children that cannot walk, cannot talk, cannot lift their head. And I get their newsletter, and I wish I had one handy. I know I have it somewhere, but I was cleaning out my files to actually read you a case history of a child that when I read it, I was in tears that this child could ever be helped. And here, 6 months later, this child is pretty well on the way to normalcy. So it is wonderful what can be done for children. And it reminds me of a case also my daughter had with a child. The mother brought the child. The mother had been under chiropractic care, brought the child. It was a baby, but it was a baby who by this time should have been lifting up his head, and he wasn't able to do that. And the doctors had no help for so she brought him to the office. And within, I think, the third adjustment, the child lifted his head and continued to get adjusted and was a totally normal child. And the parents, when that child lifted its head, they went into like ecstasy, congratulations, and jumping up and down, and such joy. I remember that well because it was such an extraordinary situation, and it was with such concern that this child could not lift its head.
That is a great story. I want to go back to you, Dr. Schaub, for a moment. First of all, how many years are you in practice?
Joyce, I've been in practice for 38 years now, and I've known Beverly all that time.
Wow. When Beverly was talking about the benefits of chiropractic for children, I wanted to throw in that my chiropractor in New York adjusted my little dog. Do you do anything with animals?
Yes, we do. Quite a bit, actually, and animals respond extremely well to chiropractic care, particularly dogs and horses. There's an entire schooling for chiropractors who adjust animals called Options for Animals. And
wow.
I wanted to tell you two other things too. If people go to that fan page, Schaub Chiropractic on Facebook, they can read 40 other great testimonials regarding chiropractic and breathing that have been reproduced from Yelp, where patients have written to Yelp and told them how much better their breathing from asthma and allergies and COPD and sinus problems has improved due to chiropractic care. So this is not something that is unique to my practice. This is something that is almost a side effect of what happens when people go to a chiropractor.
So, folks, let me just repeat that where one could go. That would be on Facebook, SCHAUB Chiropractic, and Health Guru. Her webpage is Beverly Nadler, NADLER.com. And you'll find in her website the book she's written, links to find out about how to purchase them, and so much on health. And my website is Joyce Barrie, BARRIE.com. And in that you'll find about my coaching services, my seminars, and I just want to share with you some of my favorite testimonials.
Joyce Barrie is an outstanding success coach. She is a master coach, the best of the best. Here are just a few of her clients who want to endorse her. Marlon Brando. Hiring Joyce as a coach is an offer you can't refuse. President Bill Clinton. I did not have sex with that woman. I did not have sex with Joyce. She is my coach. Sylvester Stallone. Yo, Adrian, Joyce is the best coach, you know. She helped me train for Rocky. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I hired the Joyceinator because no matter how much I may drive her crazy, I know she'll be back. President Ronald Reagan. Well, Joyce, Nancy and I just love you. There you go again. Win one for the Barrie. Elvis Presley. I'm all shook up about hiring Joyce as a coach. I'll get a little less conversation, a little more coaching. Jack Nicholson. If you can handle the truth, you want Joyce as your coach. Johnny Carson. I can hire Joyce as a coach? I did not know that. That is wild. Did you know that, Ed? Charlie Sheen. Winning. That's because Joyce is my coach. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Woody Allen. Are you crazy? This whole time I haven't had Joyce Barrie as a coach? You kidding me?
Hi, Ted Ciuba, and I Think and Grow Rich. If you were thinking about hiring Joyce Barrie as your coach, just do it, and we'll grow rich together.
And even Joyce Barrie herself.
What do Olympic athletes have that you don't have? A coach. Hire me and have this be your best year ever. If not now, when? I want that gold medal. I want to hire me.
Email CoachJoyce@AOL.com. That's CoachJoyce@AOL.com.
And folks, if you send me an email, put Beverly-Chiropractic in the subject line because I always like to know what show inspired you folks to write to me. So just send that email, CoachJoyce@AOL.com, and for that act alone, I will offer you a free consultation on whether you resonate with having a coach and whether you resonate with having a home business. And I might say that any home business I recommend is all about health and healthy products. Okay, Beverly, back to you, and then we'll go again to Dr. Schaub as we're starting to wind down here.
Well, I want to reiterate something else that Dr. Schaub said, which is when his patient went to his medical doctor, he said that he's going to a chiropractor to treat his COPD, and Dr. Schaub said, of course, I wasn't treating that. No, chiropractic does not treat any condition. Chiropractic puts your spine in line and treats whatever is necessary to allow the body to heal. I had a sinus condition my entire life, and then I had the good fortune to meet my ex-husband, and we're still friends, who's a chiropractor, and we were dancing. We're parents without partner. He put his hand on the back of my neck, and he said, you have a sinus condition. And I kind of looked at him like he was, like voodoo, weirdo. How the hell do you know that? How the heck, pardon me, do you know that? And what he said to me is he said, well, certain cervical vertebrae, I didn't even know what that was at the time, are out of position. And he invited me to his office to get adjusted. And I thought, I've heard about men inviting women to their home to see their etchings. I wonder what this is going to be. And sure enough, I went to his office, and he took care of my sinus condition. And within, I'd say about three adjustments, I threw away the nose drops that I had been using since I was 5 years old, and never had to go back to them. So it was indeed my miracle, and he said, I did not treat your sinus condition. I treated your nervous system and put your spine into line so that you no longer had that problem.
That's a great story, Beverly. And in closing, what message do you want to leave our audience with?
What better message could I leave you at this time than to investigate? If you don't live anywhere near Dr. Schaub, and I do know people travel from far distance to go to him, but if you don't and that's not convenient, then find out. Get a reference from someone for a chiropractor. And if you'd like to get off drugs, that may very well happen to you, that you will be able to do that. So find out more about chiropractic and begin to live a healthier life and naturally, because chiropractic is wonderful natural care.
And Dr. Schaub, I want to thank you for squeezing us in between your heavy workload with your patients. What message would you like to leave our audience with?
Well, I think that what Beverly said, that the central nervous system, according to Gray's Anatomy, controls and coordinates every organ in your body. The central nervous system controls and coordinates every organ, every tissue, every gland, and every cell of the body. And when the body is in perfect alignment and free of vertebral subluxation, the body functions at a much higher upregulated level. So, like you said, Joyce and Beverly, they don't need to come to me for breathing problems. There's chiropractors all over the globe that can help people with these issues. But there is certainly an interesting fact that people are very satisfied with chiropractic care. When on Yelp itself, medical doctors get an average rating of 3.6, but chiropractors get a rating of 4.6. Chiropractors have the highest level of ratings on Yelp, higher than MDs, higher than even massage therapists. And we know everybody loves to go to massage therapists. But people get such tremendous results with chiropractic care. It's just a beautiful thing. And if you haven't been to a chiropractor, Or like Beverly said, if you want to try and get off certain drugs that you've been prescribed, because the overprescription of drugs in the United States today is one of the largest problems that we have. In 2014, 2015, the United States and Canada is 5% of the world's global population, but we used 55% of the world's prescription drugs.
Wow.
But as of October of 2015, we've managed to up that from 55% of the world's prescription drugs. Add another 20% to that. We're now using 75% of the world's prescription drugs in 5% of the global population. And as a result of that, the health in the United States has dropped 10 countries. There are now 49 third world countries that are healthier than the people in the United States. So if people are not using chiropractic care as part of their health maintenance program, they need to do that.
I agree, and I really want to thank you for working it out to be with us today, and I want to address this to all our listeners around the world. If you got the message from listening either to Beverly or Dr. Schaub, yes, it's something I really want to do, get to a chiropractor. Things were mentioned that I'm dealing with those afflictions, and I'll get to do it someday. I wrote this for all of you who actually think there is a someday. Someday, an original poem by yours truly, Joyce Barrie. I went to my calendar and took a look. I discovered that someday was not in the book. I looked carefully, for someday I did seek, but only Monday through Sunday appeared on each week. I got really confused. This was not funny. I always said someday I'd make very good money. I always said someday I'd get everything done. I always said someday I'd be number one. I always said someday this and someday that. Someday is starting to sound like very old hat. I became very sure that something was wrong. No someday on my calendar all along. I thought everything I wanted would come to be. It would happen someday. I kept telling me. It was someday. I kept telling you that all our dreams were sure to come true. How shocking to discover that all along someday was not in the calendar. How could I be so wrong? How could I not know that why I was stuck was that someday would never, ever show up? There wasn't a calendar anywhere, none to be found, that had someday in it. It would never come around. I always knew that if something is going to be, I am totally responsible. It's all up to me. I thought of my goals and made a new list. How exciting to realize that someday did not exist. Now I really know without any doubt that Monday through Sunday is in and someday is out. So I ask you women, I ask you men, I ask myself, if not right now, when? And folks, that is indeed the question. If not now, when? So to drive that point home, someday doesn't exist. If not now, when? Listen up. This may be directed exactly right to you. Joyce Barrie and Friends, the #1 worldwide internet radio show. This poem, an original by yours truly, is entitled, If Not Now, When? We are giving you the education. We are giving you the information. We are giving you the motivation. We are giving you the inspiration. What you really need to do is to put this into application. Do you want a transformation? You must use your imagination. It might take some perspiration. It's all in the preparation. You must really be sure there is no procrastination. It helps to have a fascination and very strong determination. You want a positive demonstration, achieve success in the administration. It really is the time. Give each show your consideration. What is your aspiration? What do you need for stimulation to get healthy and off that medication? To get wealthy, it's your destination. So make today the day for your participation. If you do, congratulations. If not, now, when? Folks, I really hope this show inspired you to take action, to work with a chiropractor, find one that's right for you. And here is my special prayer for all of you. Make this the last day, the very last day of your struggles, your suffering, your ill health, your misfortunes, your problems, your pain, your worries, your troubles, your trials and tribulations. May this be the first day. It is the first day of the rest of your life. May it be the beginning of the very best of your life, with extraordinary wishes granted and dreams coming true. Make this the most meaningful year of making more money, good health, good luck, good fortune, attracting special people and opportunities, creating magical memories, and manifesting marvelous miracles. Folks, that is my prayer for you all. Really, if you go ahead and book that appointment with a chiropractor, I have no doubt that you'll take a big step in your own health and your own healing. And as well, we invite you to sing along with us, dance along with us, and laugh along with us. And you could do that starting right here, right now, to the Joyce Barrie Mash.
I was listening to Blog Talk Radio when my ears heard something that I didn't know. From the speakers of my laptop I heard a voice. It was the White Oprah, also known as Joyce.
He did the mash.
The Joyce Barrie Mash.
Joyce Barrie Mash.
She is a coaching smash.
He did the mash.
You'll catch on in a flash.
He did the mash.
The Joyce Barrie Mash. I felt so inspired by her show, and her poetry was just so good, you know. I want to listen to Joyce again and again, as Joyce would say, if not now, when?
He did the mash.
The Joyce Barrie Mash.
Joyce Barrie Mash.
She is a coaching smash.
He did the mash.
You'll catch on in a flash.
He did the mash.
The Joyce Barrie Mash.
Wow.
Joyce knows all about having fun. She's a home business wizard and she's just begun. She's a coaching sensation for not just me or you or her. It's for everyone.
Then you can mash.
Do the Joyce Barrie Mash.
Joyce Barrie Mash.
She's a home business smash.
Then you can mash.
You'll catch on in a flash.
Then you can mash.
Do the Joyce Barrie Mash.
Wow.
Have a fantastic day and listen to Joyce Barrie and Friends.